We're going to go live to Pascal Prache, the Paris public prosecutor.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Yes? Okay, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This morning, we are organizing a press point on the consequences to the death of a youth and the legal processes underway. I will talk to you about this. This press point will enable you to be informed of a certain number of things to confirm them. There will not be an exchange because the legal process has just begun. So following the death of the youth Nahel on the 27th of June 2023, the Nanterre prosecution has opened two cases. One is the refusal to cooperate, and the other is the attempt at homicide. And this is going to be entrusted to the Nanterre jurisdiction, and another investigation has been opened on attempted homicide, and this investigation has been entrusted to the IJPN. And the whole purpose of these two investigations is to look at all the circumstances objectively that led to the death of this young driver. The qualifications have initially been retained by the prosecution as the first information that had been gathered on site. The elements that were gathered within the framework of these two proceedings consist of the two witnesses, including the passenger, the use of video surveillance footage, and amateur videos that were circulated on networks, social networks, and we are still verifying them, as well as statements of the police officers involved. They have been heard several times, including in an adversarial process. So, for now, given the elements we have to date, we can see what happened early morning on that day. So, after taking service, two motorcycle drivers from the police forces for the Hauts-de-Seine department, which is for public order and the prefecture of Paris, noticed at 7:55 at Jacques-Arne Boulevard in Nanterre, a Class A Mercedes that had a Polish license plate and that was in a bus lane very quickly, heading toward the train station neighborhood by the Nanterre University. And given what was happening and the young age of the people in the car, there were two attempts made by the police officers by turning on their indication lights, and they indicated to the car to park and pull over at the red light. That car, in fact, went through the red light and continued. There were passengers, one in the front and one in the back. The two police officers followed the vehicle on several cars, and they, in fact, did 6 loops. At the Droit de l'Homme roundabout, the vehicle continued on its way, where there's the road Pablo Neruda, and on Boulevard Pesarotto, the car was still followed by the two police motorcycles that was continuing to follow them at 8:16. And during this, there are several elements from the police, and video surveillance enable us to see several violations of traffic regulations, such as imperiling a pedestrian and someone on a bicycle. And at La Défense, the car had to stop because there was a stoplight, and so put behind this Mercedes vehicle, the police officers assert that they said, pull over and get out on the left side. On the driver's side car and the other one on the left side. And the police officers said that they did draw their weapons and they aimed them at the driver to dissuade him from taking off again in the car and telling him to turn off the engine. The vehicle took off again, and once again, so the police officer decided to shoot, and then at the Arago passage, and where there was the Nelson Mandela place, at 8:19, the passenger one of the passengers left, and then there was first aid provided to the driver, and firefighters who had been contacted at 8:21, and they attempted to bring him back to life. But unfortunately, despite these efforts, the person was not brought back to life. So the Nahel prosecution has asked the police officer who shot to surrender his weapon and was brought to the hospital, and then to make a statement. After a first statement, this police officer was taken into custody on account of involuntary manslaughter, and the youth was known for refusal to cooperate with the police. The last time he did this, it was before the Nahel prosecution on the 25th of June, before the child's court. The custody of the second passenger was lifted at the beginning of the afternoon on the 27th of June. He said that 1/2 hour before the incident, he had gotten into the car, and the other person who had been present in the car is still sought after. Accompaniment by the emergency services to accompany people has been requested by the prosecution to accompany the loved ones of the deceased because they are going through very dramatic times. And on 28 June, there was only one shot that was fired through the arm and the chest, and there have been toxicology studies mandated, and a search of the vehicle did not lead to the finding of any narcotic drugs or dangerous products. The scene has been videoed, and this has confirmed the route of the police officers during this refusal to cooperate, as well as the second passenger. And as I indicated, the police officer who recognized having shot has been taken into custody for involuntary manslaughter, and there's been no confirmation of any use of narcotic substances. The police officer explained his actions by saying he wanted to avoid a new escape of this car, the dangerous behavior of the driver, leading in the mind of this police officer that there would be a fear that someone would be run over when the car would take off of. And there was also the other person who had been harmed, who was in the car, and of course the other police officer was heard, and both of them said that they felt threatened when they saw the driver take off again when they were getting close to a wall. A confrontation was ordered on the words used during the traffic control, and after having seen the video that was put on social networks, only one of them recognized this, and the IRCJ has been called upon to investigate this. And in terms of the investigations that have been done and the elements that the prosecution has, it considered that the legal use of a firearm was not justified. So the police officer who has been taken into custody for use of his weapon has been made the object of a new investigation for voluntary manslaughter. And as we have to protect these investigations, the prosecutor has put the other police officer on a suspended leave, and the investigation will make it possible to see what will be determined from the elements we have, and that information will be communicated to you. Now, in terms of urban violence that this department has been experiencing, the assessment is the following. 27 people taken into custody for the 27th, and over 20 for last night for deterioration and violence, deterioration of property and violence. So only for today, up to now, there have been 11 deferrals, and these are people who have circulated police videos online in social networks and given the contact information of police officers. Several cases of vandalism of utilities, for example, in Asnières, there has been an area not far, and an area that is supposed to help people who are in greatest difficulty, and this is what was attacked. The prosecution is totally mobilized on this case and has been from the outset and will be following very closely. Of course, the cases that are being investigated, that could go up to a sentencing of up to 10 years in prison. We will communicate the elements to you. Thank you. I had just indicated that I would not answer questions because we have just begun the judicial proceeding that is still underway. I thank you.